My wife hadn't spoken to her father in almost 9 years. She wouldn't answer his calls. She wouldn't open his letters. She once told me that if he ever showed up at our door, she wanted nothing to do with him. Then one Tuesday night, she looked across the dinner table and said, "My dad needs somewhere to stay. I want him here." I thought I was watching my wife forgive someone who had hurt her. So I rearranged my work schedule. I cleared out my home office. I canceled plans. I turned our lives upside down to make room for a man she had spent years avoiding. 3 weeks later, I found an old agreement with both their signatures on it. And suddenly, I understood why her father was really living in our house. The worst part? My wife had known this day was coming before she ever married me. My name is Nathan Cole. I'm 46 years old, and until this happened, I thought my wife, Melissa, and I told each other everything that mattered. We'd been married for 12 years. Her father, Richard, was almost never part of our lives. Whenever I asked what happened between them, Melissa gave me the same answer. "It's complicated. I'd rather leave it in the past." I respected that. Then Richard's health and mobility began declining, and Melissa suddenly changed. She told me he couldn't manage his house alone anymore. I asked why us. Her eyes filled with emotion. "Because I'm tired of being angry." That answer got me. I thought she was trying to heal something. I had no idea she was trying to fulfill something. Richard moved in the following weekend. My office became his bedroom. I started working from a small desk in the corner of our bedroom. Melissa changed her schedule, and I adjusted mine so someone could usually be around when Richard needed help. At first, I was proud of her. I watched her bring him meals and sit beside him in the evenings. Their relationship seemed awkward, but I assumed that was what reconciliation looked like after years of silence. Richard was polite to me, but distant. Sometimes I caught him studying the house, not admiring it, studying it. One afternoon, he looked around our living room and quietly said, "You've taken good care of this place." I smiled. "We both have." He looked at me strangely. Then he said, "I suppose that's one way to see it." I should have asked what he meant. I didn't. 3 weeks after Richard moved in, Melissa asked me to find an old insurance document. We kept important paperwork in a cabinet downstairs. While searching, I found a yellow envelope pushed beneath a stack of folders. Across the front was Melissa's maiden name. The date was from 14 years earlier, 2 years before we got married. I wasn't trying to invade her privacy, but underneath her name were 3 words that stopped me. Property repayment agreement. I opened it. The first paragraph mentioned Richard. The second mentioned Melissa. Then I saw the address. Our address. The house I had spent 12 years believing Melissa and I owned together. Richard walked into the kitchen while we were arguing. He saw the papers. Then he looked at Melissa. "You finally told him?" I answered before she could. "No, I found them." Richard's expression changed. For the first time, he looked embarrassed. He told me he had assumed I knew about the agreement from the beginning. That was when Melissa finally admitted the full truth. Her estrangement from Richard hadn't been entirely about old family wounds. Years earlier, Richard had repeatedly asked her to acknowledge the agreement and make a repayment plan. Melissa responded by cutting contact. She had spent years telling me she wanted distance because their relationship was painful. But part of that distance had protected her secret. Now Richard needed help. And the promise she had buried had finally reached our front door. I wasn't angry because Richard needed somewhere safe to live. I wasn't even angry that he had helped his daughter buy the house. I was hurt because Melissa had let me make major decisions without knowing the truth. That night, I told her, "You keep calling this your agreement with your father. But the moment you married me and let me invest my money and years into this house, your secret became part of my life too." She started crying quietly. "I thought I could fix it before you ever had to know." "That's the problem," I said. "You decided I didn't deserve to know. For 12 years, I thought our home represented something we had built together. Now every room felt different. Not because Richard was there, because a hidden promise had been there before me." Richard eventually apologized to me for assuming Melissa had been honest. Melissa and I didn't separate, but I stopped pretending an apology could repair everything overnight. We met with the appropriate professionals and started sorting out exactly what the agreement meant and how we could resolve the financial situation fairly. Richard remained with us while we worked through it. But my marriage changed. Melissa had to understand that rebuilding trust wasn't about saying she was sorry repeatedly. It meant answering difficult questions, showing me documents, including me in decisions, and accepting that forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. I once believed betrayal always arrived through one dramatic moment. Mine was different. It had been sitting quietly in a filing cabinet for 12 years. And when I finally opened that envelope, I learned something I'll never forget. A hidden promise made before a marriage can still become a betrayal inside it when the truth is deliberately kept from the person building a life beside you.